we get to focus on the women doing battle over 25 laps for the 10,000 metre title. Selina Kosgei with the games record. I wonder if that will come under threat this evening. The temperature has cooled a little. These huge stands at either end of Alexander Stadium ensure that they're fairly well protected from the wind. This could be and should be a great race tonight. We had 9 men yesterday. We have 14 women going this evening. Irene Cheptai won the World Cross Country title. She's the first of the 2 Kenyans. Sheila Kiprotich, the second of those, one of the fastest women in history over the half marathon. Stella Chesang is the defending champion. Eilish McColgan hoping to follow in the venerable footsteps of her mum and collect a medal here. Liz McColgan taking the titles as Liz Lynch in '86 and then in '90. Sarah Inglis, based in North Carolina, the Scot, 4th in the Parliament Hill Night of the 10,000s. Sam Harrison made the top 50 at the World Half a couple of years ago. She was 3rd at Parliament Hill. Letzi won the Cape Town Marathon for 2:28 last year. And listen to the reception for Eilish McColgan. She's such a brave front runner, as she proved in Hengelo, going 2nd on the British all-time list. I wonder if she'll do the same. Jess Judd, hard to believe it's 10 years since she won a silver in the World Juniors at 800 metres. This is Nehang Katala, 13th in the Commonwealth Marathon 4 years ago, stepping back down to the track. And now to the defending champion, Stella Chesang, 14th over the 10,000 at the World Champs, but that was good enough for a national record. Hannah Irwin of Northern Ireland, she got a PB on the night of the 10,000s at Parliament Hill. And now to the first of the 2 Kenyans, African champion over 5,000 metres a few years ago, Sheila Kiprotich. Dominique Scott is another who's been working hard over 10,000 metres. She was 17th in the World Champs in Eugene. Celine Iranzi, PB when she finished 10th in the African Champs in Mauritius. And now to Irene Cheptai, the former World Cross Country champion, 6th last year in Tokyo. Rachel Chebet, 2nd in the African Championships. Could she spring a surprise for Uganda? And on the inside, Isabel Bat-Doyle came up through the Little League Athletics programme, an excellent cross-country runner, 7th and 6th in the last 2 editions of the World Student Games Championship. So, the defending champion, Stella Chesang, up against one of the fastest half-marathon runners in history and a former World Cross-Country champion. The 2 Kenyans determined to take it to the Ugandan. The East African distance running rivalry about to resume in Birmingham. The final of the women's 10,000 metres is underway. Lovely conditions here. It has got a little cooler. Jess Judd with Eilish McColgan on her shoulder. And Tim, I wonder whether this is the kind of night, if McColgan is feeling bold enough, where she may look to repeat the performance that she had at Hengelo. Some would argue that one of the reasons she beat Letesenbet Gide, who ended up winning the world title, was because the Ethiopians were more concerned about one another, because Hengelo was their battle to earn selection for the world champs. But McColgan ran masterfully in Holland and was rewarded with the 2nd fastest time by a British woman, I know she's representing Scotland, that we've ever seen. Do you think she would be best served to take this on? Because at the moment they're absolutely dawdling.
Well, they did jog the first 200 or 300 metres, yes. And I don't know, I think it's early to go, too soon to go out in front and push hard right from the gun. Very, very rarely has that been seen in the history of 10,000 metre running. What we do see more often than not is what we saw last night, which is a reasonable first half. I think it was 13:45 the first half in the men's race, and then a much quicker second half in the men's 10,000 metres. And Kiplimo storming to goal for Uganda. I think this one will be very similar. I suspect 1 or 2 others will come through and take a turn over these first 12 and a half, maybe 15 laps. But for the full 25 laps, no, it would be very, very tough to go out and lead the whole way. Eilish has raced an amazing amount this last couple of years. She's been able to avoid injuries. That's been a real key to it. She's just been able to maintain her training from month to month, from season to season, and build up that fitness. And that's critical for any athlete. And she did look fantastic. You're dead right. In Hengelo a couple of months back, the Ethiopian contingent behind her were watching each other, just fighting for domestic glory and for places in the World Championship team. But while Eilish is very capable of going for home from a long way out, I don't think we'll see it until the second half.
The much smaller figure of Aranzi of Rwanda taking her turn at the front in these very modest first few laps. McColgan sometimes ends up having her heels clipped when she runs in a big pack because she has quite a big high leg lift at the back. The athletes running in a tight group have to give her a little bit more space. At the moment she's got Jess Judd of England behind her, who's more than familiar, so you can see there that Judd has left a little bit of a gap just to take account of McColgan's heels flicking up towards her. But this is very, very steady in the early stages. Good weather this though, Tim, for distance running. It's nice and cool.
It is, Rob. I'd still like to know just how much wind there is around the track if there are any exposed areas, because the flags at the far end of the stadium where the water jump is, between the 200-metre point and 300-metre point on each lap from the start line, the flags up on the rim of the stadium are blowing pretty healthily. There is a breeze around. I just wonder if they're getting much down there. It doesn't look like it at the moment. Iranzi quite happy to lead on as they approach 1,000 metres, but yes, this is desperately slow at the moment, and this is fine. This is championship racing.
3:17, so they're on course for only just inside 33 minutes, which, looking at the season's best, is comfortably within the grasp of just about every single woman in this compact field of 14. Iranzi of Rwanda, who set her PB at the African Champs in Mauritius. Very windy day when they went to task over 25 laps over there for that title. She's just quite happy on the inside, and I wouldn't be surprised if Eilish McColgan just ever so slightly maybe ups the pace a fraction. I mean, 3:17 and bits, it's 79-second lapping, so it'll feel like an absolute dawdle for McColgan, who now does look like she's just putting a subtle injection of pace in just to turn it into a little bit more of an honest first few laps.
Well, Eilish does like the pace to be healthy in most races. She likes it to be honest, and this is early for her to go, but actually you can use as much energy avoiding elbows and heels and people clipping you, and that is a common problem for her, as you've mentioned, as you do running at a slightly faster pace. And I think probably if there's not much wind out there to provide resistance in your face, then you might as well be out in front and just stride out healthily. It doesn't necessarily mean she wants to be there for the whole race, certainly through the first two-thirds, but actually at least this way you can just relax and lope along at your own tempo. I don't know how much significant acceleration there will be here, but I suspect Eilish was just getting a little bit tired with being in traffic for a couple of laps.
Cheptai has come up behind her. She's the Kenyan with the very short hair, world cross-country champion.
But sensible running this from Eilish, not particularly quick, but it will take its toll, and she's just got to be patient here and keep churning out these kilometres. Anything around 3:05, 3:07 is good, healthy running, and it will see this pack diminish.
And while we focus in on the Scot, whose mum won this event twice, Stella Chesang, very quietly in the middle of that group, just running behind the two Kenyans, just fourth place there, the defending champion, hoping to become only the second woman other than Eilish McColgan's mum, Liz, who won once in her maiden name, Liz Lynch, in '86, and then once in her married name, Liz McColgan, in 1990. Chesang looking up on the big screen. She'll see Jess Judd and Dominique Scott just behind her. The other of the Ugandans hasn't got quite as quick a PB, and she's just at the back of that group now. And one by one, Tim, this is what she would want, Eilish McColgan. One by one, they are beginning to drop off the back, and that's going to be her best chance of giving herself an opportunity to try and follow in her mum's footsteps and get her hands on a medal.
No, absolutely right. Eilish is very familiar with this scenario. Just keep plugging away. 10 or 15 minutes time, there'll be a much smaller group than this. Interesting to see Jessica Judd looking really comfortable in fifth place. Her spirits are up, so to speak. She ran so well at the World Championships to run 30:35 there. A big new personal best, massive new personal best for her. So she will be comfortable enough at this pace. It'll be interesting to see how well Samantha Harrison Also in English colours there, with blonde hair, back in what, about 8th place in the red bottoms. How long she can hang on to this tempo, because if Eilish maintains this, and they've gone through 3,000 now, in fact they're just about to go through 3,000, and it's going to be, what, around 9:30. If she does maintain this tempo though, Eilish McColgan, it will take its toll, and Harrison might have trouble hanging on.
Yeah, another 3:04 plus bits, Tim, and that's why they are now strung out in single file. This would be a massive achievement. It's a big opportunity, this, for McColgan, who was so disappointed with elements of her performance in Tokyo last year. 9th in the 10,000 metres, didn't make the final of the 5. So McColgan leading from Cheptai and Kiprotich, and all of a sudden we have a single file group of 8 all in a line. Even Bat Doyle has begun to lose touch for Australia.
Well, 17 laps to go in that women's 10,000 metres. We can go over to the high jump momentarily, where the reigning champion may be about to get over 2:19 at the 3rd time of asking, or he may be dipping out of the competition. He's in 8th place equal, is the Australian Brandon Stark. 2 failures at 2:19 so far. Had a failure at 2:15, got over that 2nd time. I can tell you that there are 4 athletes now sharing 1st place who are looking quite comfortable, having got over this height 2:19 1st time of asking, and amongst them not a single failure yet. This for Brandon Stark, very, very important effort indeed. Now, lots of speed. Yes, when the pressure is on, an athlete of his caliber is able to pull out the big jumps. Well, he can reset now. 3rd time clearance 2:19. He's still in there.
Great work by our director. One of the people focused in on the crowd had a race bib that said Brandon Stark's roommate on the front. A bit of a claim to fame. We might see him or her again. I couldn't see whether it was male or female. I just saw the words Brandon Stark's roommate. Anyway.
What happens if we see somebody else wearing one as well, though? Then it starts, it's like, no, I'm, you know.
It's me, not him
I'm
or her.
Brian's wife, and so is my, yeah.
Anyway, back to the 10,000 metres, where Eilish McColgan is just beginning to wind this up. And we have a group of 8 away from the rest. But this group contains Stella Chesang in the yellow, running in 4th place, the smallest figure in that leading group. She's the defending champion. She's won it before. Could she do it again? Jess Judd, just at the head of a little group of 4, with Dominique Scott just behind her. Sarah Inglis in the familiar blue, just now towards the back of the group with Samantha Harrison. But McColgan doing a good job. She wants to see 1 or 2 of these athletes spat out the back here. She was 6th in the steeplechase back in Glasgow, 6th in the 5,000 on the Gold Coast. This is her 3rd attempt to get her hands on a Commonwealth medal. She switched from the steeplechase, I think, to do with injuries, and it's been a good decision, and she's trucking along quite nicely here, little by little, lap by lap. We're edging towards the halfway stage, and if she keeps this momentum going, Tim, as the evening air is a little cool, she has got a great chance of perhaps becoming the first home nation athlete, if you incorporate Northern Ireland, Wales, Scotland and England, since Mari Yamauchi's bronze back in 2006.
No, exactly right. And that 4th kilometre, by the way, another 3:04, 12:32 at 4K. She's doing exactly the right thing here, Eilish. She's not tiring herself out, but she is gradually dwindling down that group. And we know she's got plenty of speed. She's a great finisher. She's not got lightning quick kick-off for the last 150, but she has got really good ability to wind it up and maintain a high tempo for the last 300 or so in her middle distance races and the long distance races. It's easy to forget that Eilish is a world-class runner at the shorter distances, at 1,500 metres and 3,000 and of course 5,000.
Cameras focusing in on the athletes just at the back of that group. Sam Harrison, decent half marathon runner. She was third in Parliament Hill, what they call the night of the 10,000 PBs. If you're not watching from a British perspective, it's worth looking it up on YouTube. It's a great festival of 10,000 metre running where down the back straight the crowd get to within 3 lanes of the athletes with beers flowing. They run through a tent. There's a whole succession of 10,000 metre races throughout the day for those looking for a PB, and then of course heading towards the climax for those looking for a place in the World Championship and the Commonwealth Games. And I just noticed McColgan having a little look over her shoulder there. I'm not sure whether it was because her heel was clipped or whether she's thinking, right, hang on, you're all tagging along for the ride. I've got us back down towards low 31s. If anyone else wants to share these pace-making duties, then feel free. But Cheptai and Kiprotich and Chesang in second, third and fourth, not interested in getting to the front. They're all just happy to sit on the back of this pretty solid, very steady pace. And she should still be feeling comfortable here, judging by what she did in Hengelo.
On a 74-second lap there. Yes, I think Eilish will be feeling comfortable. She's so experienced now. She knows how to judge her efforts to perfection in long-distance races, whether it's a half marathon. I saw her set a British record in the Ras Al Khaimah half marathon back in February. Whether it's a long distance like that, 13 miles, 21 kilometres, or indeed 5 or 10k on the track. So she won't get that part wrong. What she cannot control is how the others behind her are feeling. And Cheptai looks very, very comfortable, I have to say. Back there, Chesang, the defending champion, I meant to say, excuse me, in fourth place for Uganda. She looks very comfortable. There is 5,000, a 3:05, Rob, some metronomic running from McColgan. 3:05, then 3:04, 3:04, and another 3:05 to take them to 5,000 metres. And this is where people start beginning to focus a little bit more and put their racing brains together.
McColgan leading into the second half of the race.
Well, let's go to the women's shot put. There's the first round throw here for Madison Lee Wishy of New Zealand. Oh, and that's useful. That's beyond 18 metres, dark glasses and all from the Kiwi. She looks pretty happy with it, doesn't she? 23-year-old is a 1950 thrower this year. That is a lifetime best she has thrown. 18:08 in qualifying. She was just one of 3 who went over the qualifying mark of 18 metres in qualifying. 18:84, that's a fabulous opener from Madison Lee Wishy. Now, the defending champion, Danielle Thomas-Dodd of Jamaica, beat Valerie Adams in 2018 for the gold. Set a Jamaican record back then with 1936 to win that gold. And that from Thomas-Dodd, close to 18 metres, very, very fast, isn't she? Boy, bang, straight down on that 18-metre line across the sector. But Wishy's opener will not be caught. 18:84, remember, for her. And the defending champion from Jamaica behind another Kiwi, not Valerie Adams this time, but 17:98 for Thomas-Dodd. The battle is underway.
Back with the 10,000 metres, 8 is quickly becoming 6 as Sarah Inglis and Sam Harrison have been dropped by this group. They're doing their level best to regroup, but at the moment now it's Dominique Scott in 6th place for South Africa. There you can see Harrison and Inglis just in the distance, but still Cheptai, the 2017 World Cross Country champion, looming in the shadow of Eilish McColgan, and behind her Sheila Kiprotich, African champion over the 5,000 metres, 7th fastest half marathon runner in history with a scorching 64-minute performance in Ras Al Khaimah. And just as I say that, the half marathon specialist now comes to the front, and this is a change in the tactics here. Kiprotich from Cheptai, and now McColgan is the one having to hang on, with Chesang, the defending champion, in 4th, Jess Judd 5th, and now Dominique Scott beginning to fall off the back of the pace.
Well, Eilish will have known this was coming. She hasn't changed her tempo. Another 3:04 there, that 6 kilometre, Rob. 18:42. She's well advised by her mother, who of course was a New York Marathon champion, a London Marathon champion, a great champion at Commonwealth and world level over 10,000 metres. And well, remember Liz McColgan winning the world title in 1991 in the sweltering heat of Tokyo. So loads of experience behind her. Her partner Mike Rimmer was a world-class 800-metre runner. He has been a great partner for her over this last couple of years in particular, where she's been able to avoid those injuries and just put together race after race, so enormous consistency. So I think Eilish will have anticipated this. She's not panicked, she's just tucked in behind them, and to be fair, I don't think they've injected a great deal of pace, although those gaps are developing. And now actually, in a way, Eilish can relax and just tuck in behind these two, and for once she's getting a little bit of help. She's been the pacemaker unofficially for most of the race.
And if you look behind, there's ever such a slight gap opening up between Eilish McColgan in third. It's Cheptai leading now, with Kiprotich in second place on the curve, and the defending champion Chesang looks like she's working quite hard here, and all of a sudden 5 or 6 metres has opened up between McColgan and the woman who stormed to the title on the Gold Coast. She's a former world mountain running champion as well, but she's now down in fourth, with Jess Judd flying high off that personal best in sweltering conditions in Eugene in fifth. And that gap, Tim, is beginning to grow. So are we seeing two Kenyans and a Scot in what is quickly becoming a three-way battle for the title? The defending champion's in a little bit of trouble here.
Well, she is, and in a way this is great for Eilish McColgan, because she's worked so hard to tire the field out through the first 6 kilometres, and she's getting her just desserts. In other words, she's separated the three of them away from the pack, and it pretty much lays down the story of the rest of the race. We have 3 athletes battling out 3 medals. She's guaranteeing herself a medal, perhaps, with the hard work done so far. I don't think Eilish will fold over these last 3 kilometres or so. It's a case of whether or not she can live with these two Kenyans now, and then maybe use that renowned finishing speed of hers.
Well, if you look at the personal bests, that lap was 72 seconds, and that is why the defending champion and Jess Judd in fourth and fifth have been blown out the back. On PBs, when you look back to that wonderful time that McColgan set in Hengelo, 30:19, her lifetime bests quicker than both the Kenyans. Now, this is different. It's a race scenario, but she hasn't allowed any gap at all to grow. There is Stella Chesang just on the right of picture there, so that gap looks like it's fast becoming unbridgeable. There's going to be a new champion. But what a story it would be if Eilish McColgan could put the world cross-country champion from 17 and the 7th fastest half marathon runner in history under major pressure here. In PB terms, she can live with the two Kenyans. It's a question of who's got the acceleration and when will the final big push for the title come, as they head round now with 7 laps to go. This is developing into a cracking climax, Tim.
Well, Rob, they're going through 7 laps to run, and I can tell you we've got 3 completely new medalists as well, because I was checking earlier, and Stella Chesang is the only finalist from 4 years ago in 2018 to be in this final. No other finalist from 2018 in this race apart from Chesang. But we can now go back to the high jump. Hamish Kerr, 2:22. Nobody clear at this height as yet. Here goes Kerr. Oh, there is now. And that was lovely and relaxed, wasn't it? A lot of power. He doesn't generate a lot of speed. Very different to Stark in his approach, who really roars in on that curve to generate the centrifugal force. But that from Kerr, a lovely clearance. Bronze medalist at the World Indoors, a finalist last year in Tokyo, finished in 10th at the Olympic Games. And that suggests enormous strength to convert that moderate speed into big lift. Shankar at 2:22 now. Clear card so far for the Indian. He's having a great time. 2:22, first time for him as well. Yeah, the Indians in the crowd, his teammates loving that. So he and Kerr share the lead.
What a final 6 laps we have in prospect here. Of course, Eilish McColgan proudly flying the flag for Scotland, as her mother did in this exact final in the Meadowbank Stadium in Edinburgh in 1986, and taking the title 4 years later in Auckland. But they will roar as if she is one of their own. So many times these crowd members have cheered McColgan on in a British vest, and she's living with the two Kenyans. It's Irene Cheptai leading with the shorter hair. She's the former world cross-country champion. Kiprotich in second, a former world youth champion over 1,500 metres and a brilliant half marathon runner with that scorching 64-minute performance in Ras Al Khaimah. But McColgan's up for this. She's got the quickest PB of the three women, who look, barring a fall, as though they are going to be the gold, silver and bronze medalists. But in which order?
Doesn't she look relaxed? Doesn't she look supremely calm and in control, Eilish McColgan? Looks can be deceptive, I know, but as they come through below us, 8K in 24:51. If you want that in miles, that's 5 miles in 24 minutes, 24:51. The 7th kilometre, by the way, Rob, was a 3:03. That one has slowed a little bit. That was a 3:06. That's the slowest kilometre of the race, apart from the first kilometre so far.
And I wonder, Tim, if that is why McColgan has decided to go to the front. Is this her bid to try and grind the sting out of any finish that may be left in the legs of Cheptai and Kiprotich? Jess Judd, by the way, has moved ahead of the defending champion Stella Chesang. She's just in the background. She's running quite well, Jess Judd, coming round now. She's around about 50 or 60 metres behind the trio battling for the medals. And as we get closer and closer to the last couple of laps, the noise in this stadium will increase. I think this would rank as the biggest moment of McColgan's career. Got a great European silver over the 5,000 metres, but she seems to have found her home over the 10. And I know we mentioned the Hengelo performance a couple of times. It really was utterly masterful. In great fashion, she stormed away from Letesenbet Gide, a double world cross-country champion, the Ethiopian, who went on to win the world title in Eugene. Those conditions were punishing and perhaps didn't suit McColgan, but it will tonight. The crowd are really responding. The two guys on P8, Jeff Whiteman and Chris Temple, doing a good job of informing the crowd what a big moment this would be for McColgan, for her entire family. But Tim, Cheptai and Kiprotich are still right there with her.
3.5 laps to go, and pace judgment now. How she spreads her effort out over these next just over 3 laps is absolutely critical. She does have loads of experience, Eilish McColgan. We mustn't forget, Rob, that she was European Championship silver medalist in Berlin back in 2018 over 5,000 metres. She does have fabulous 5,000 speed. Her 3,000 best, 8:31, gives her enormous confidence, I guess. 14:28 she's run for 5,000. That would be Oslo last year. She holds the national records for the UK at 5,000 and half marathon. And as they come through with 3 laps to run, Eilish here will want to just test them a little bit, but constantly be reminding herself to save something for that last lap, those last 300 metres.
The officials doing a good job. They were just waving a placard in front of Rachel Chebet, telling her she had 4 laps to go. Of course, it is 3. They're moving past so many athletes, and Chebet is saying to Kiprotich, go on, go past me, it's fine. Kiprotich has got a problem here. She's limping. I'm talking about the athlete just on the left of picture. I wonder whether she might have to drop out, which would give Jess Judd perhaps an opportunity to get in the mix for a bronze. So all of a sudden, we only have 2 left together. It's Cheptai with McColgan just behind her. Kiprotich is carrying on, but she has been dropped and she's limping heavily.
Well, how ironic that Cheptai has hit the front and tries to kick away here as her teammate Kiprotich is in trouble. And McColgan now approaching 2 laps to go, right on the heels of Cheptai. What has each of them got in the tank? Cheptai, for my money, Rob, looks as though she's under more stress for the last few laps.
And she's just got a little push in the back there from McColgan, who perhaps feels as though Cheptai isn't moving quickly enough to be hogging the inside line. Well, she could come wide on the outside. What a story here, unfolding before our very eyes. It's turning into a brilliant battle over these last few laps. It would be an incredible moment for McColgan if she could somehow replicate what her mum did in 86 and 90, and she's coming up onto Cheptai's shoulder. The World Cross Country Champion from 2017 is under real pressure here by the Scot, who is going to receive an almighty roar from the crowd when she comes round to hear the bell.
Very tough moment for Eilish McColgan this. How do you decide when to go? Because I think she looks far the better of the two. Does she go hard here from 500 metres out? They're coming towards the bell. McColgan here looks to have the speed, but Cheptai stubbornly holding that inside line and raising her game. It's a wonderful battle between the heavyweights as they reach 1 lap to go.
Listen to the noise from the crowd here as they take the bell in the final of the women's 10,000 metres. Irene Cheptai, the World Cross Country Champion from 5 years ago, desperately trying to pull away from Eilish McColgan, who's putting in one of the bravest performances of her career, desperate to follow in the mighty footsteps of her mum, who's won this title not once but twice, and she still hasn't been broken. What a battle here. Cheptai is giving this absolutely everything, and somehow McColgan staying with her. Less than 200 to go, and we still don't know who's taking the gold. McColgan's had a silver in the Europeans, but this would be incredible. Cheptai accelerates again, playing angst on both their faces, side by side, shoulder to shoulder. Who wants it the most? Listen to the crowd. This is absolutely incredible. History is being rewritten here in Birmingham in spectacular fashion. Eilish McColgan is the Commonwealth champion, just like her mum was back in 1986. She's beaten a former World Cross Country champion to do it. This is the performance of her lifetime. All that work, all those miles for all those years, and she has become the champion. That was spectacular. Kiprotich takes the bronze, but it's McColgan who takes the headlines here. That was incredible.
Well, talk about a sense of deja vu. She had to battle for it down the home straight, didn't she, when her mother won 1991 world title in Tokyo. She just ran away from the field. She ground them into the track in the Olympic Stadium in the Japanese capital. That was a very different race, but the same result. McColgan crosses the line in first place. Absolutely brilliant. That was a performance full of guts and determination. Wears her heart on her sleeve to Eilish McColgan. It was there for all to see, Rob. The new games record through the last 300 metres. She fought for every single inch of that victory.
That is one of the bravest pieces of 10,000 metre running I have ever seen. Cheptai gave it everything round that last 200 metres, but this time McColgan was not to be burnt off by a fast finish. She ground them down by an excellent judge of pace for the first half of the race. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you really appreciate this great moment for distance running. The men's race was a cracker yesterday, and tonight was arguably even better, Tim. You just didn't know until the last 50 metres who was going to do it.
Well, and we mustn't forget, amidst all this, that Eilish McColgan has been announced for the London Marathon in a few weeks' time. October the 2nd, she's got to start focusing on a marathon pretty soon.
And there is the embrace between mother and daughter. Two proven champions. History does repeat itself. Liz cannot believe it, and I'm not sure Eilish can either. All credit to Irene Cheptai, the World Cross Country champion from 2017, becoming the Commonwealth silver medalist, but at last, after so many disappointments and so much heartache, she is a champion just like her mum.
Spectacular scenes, and the stadium as one, rising to their feet over that final lap. And you could see Liz McColgan just now shaking her head, wiping away the tears. She couldn't believe it. I don't think her daughter could believe it either. Here we are, 300 metres to go, and I thought at this point maybe McColgan would have to give way to Cheptai, the little Kenyan, with the arms rocking from side to side. Couldn't get the gap, couldn't break the Scot. This was a clash for the ages, Rob, and something that you'll be able to watch for many, many years and enjoy again and again. And look at McColgan here, leaning into this bend, trying desperately to stay on the coattails of the little Kenyan, over whom she towers. But Cheptai, working hard here, just didn't have the extra gear to get away from Eilish McColgan. We knew Eilish has that fabulous speed endurance, and she believed it. And maybe in this last 100 metres it came down to belief.
Such heart on display, and that will generate great headlines for distance running all around Europe and all around the Commonwealth. It took everything she had to do that, and we know she's not a natural sprinter, but somehow she found a way past the cross-country specialist. There was pain etched on both their faces, but you said it, Tim, it was Eilish who was determined that tonight would be her night. And I wonder how much of a part the British crowd played in helping her get the job done. A huge moment for Scotland, of course, and so many of the people in the stadium have watched and cheered her in a British vest. They were going absolutely wild for her at this stage. There were commentators all around our position with their arms up in the air, cheering and shouting. It felt like an important moment for British sport and a great moment for the McColgan family. I don't think they'll ever tire of watching that back. The stadium has been ignited by this performance from McColgan, and we've still got the men's and women's hundreds to come, and Katarina Johnson-Thompson with one hand on a successful title defence in the heptathlon. This is a really special night for the Alexander Stadium, and a brilliant night for Eilish McColgan, who will always be able to say, Timbo, she's a Commonwealth champion just like her mum.
Well, she's been a great champion on many occasions before over various distances. She's run 4 minutes exactly for 1,500 metres. She has speed aplenty, Eilish McColgan, as if we needed reminding when we watch these pictures. But Rob, that was special. The 100-metre finals to come, as you say. What I love too about those last few laps is that they both gave 101%. Look at the features there of Irene Cheptai. Effort, 101% effort, etched across her features. They both contributed to a magical race too. Cheptai took it on, gave it a good go. McColgan led the first 6K. They both contributed massively to a wonderfully rich performance and a wonderful race.
That is a picture that will be on the front page of all the newspapers around here tomorrow. McColgan is the champion. That was such a special 10,000 metres to witness on a beautiful night, the sun beginning to set. That was every bit as good as yesterday's 10,000. Frankly, it was even better.
Well, speaking of a wonderful climb.